Hello there, aspiring Tennos. It is I, Subtexagon. I am here once again. One of my harshest critics brought up an interesting point on my last video on Relics, and it's the idea that there are both too many and too few options in terms of Relics. And I do agree with this. Exceptional is in most cases pretty useless, especially if you're running it with a boost, which you really should if you're running Relics for profit anyways. But then he mentioned that perhaps there could be a way to strike to remove certain rewards from Relics, and I thought that was very interesting. I thought it was so interesting, in fact, that it might be worth investigating further and flesh out this concept a bit more. Now, I want all of us to participate in this discussion, so go down in the comments or on the Discord and tell me if you think this is something that should be implemented into the game, or if it's too overpowered, or perhaps how we could maybe change this idea to make it a little bit more feasible. I want to hear all of your ideas because I think this is very interesting. So basically, the idea is that there should be some way to remove rewards from Relics. And there's a couple of different ways that this could happen. The most feasible, but also the most boring way is with Relic Trace. So what I'm thinking is that you would pay either 10, 20, 30, 40 or 50, 30, 45, 60 Void Trace to either strike 1, 2, 3 or 4 rewards from a relic at random. This is totally something I could see them implement right away. And the benefit of this, of course, is that removing 4 rewards, if you're left with the rewards that you want, which would be a rare and a uncommon, for example, it's very, or at least decently likely, that you would be able to hit the reward that you would want. In this scenario, I think that in the same way that you cannot upgrade a relic beyond Radiant, you also would not be able to strike more than 4 rewards. Right, so it's a gamble, right? Maybe you strike 3 rewards and then the thing that you would want is still there. Do you strike 1 more and risk losing it, or do you run it and risk not getting it because it's a lower chance and so on? There's some interesting interplay there. Now, I think the way more interesting approach to this would be, I call it Trace of Entanglement, and basically there's a couple of different approaches to this, but one, you could get this from Relics as a legendary reward, whereas Lith has the smallest chance to drop this and actually has the highest. And exactly what the percentage should be, I don't know, but we can work out the details later, right? But so the idea is you'd be able to get this Trace of Entanglement, and this would allow you to strike a reward from a relic. It would have the most profound effect if striking the rare reward, but since that's the reward that you most often would want from a relic, it's not something that you would do very often. So I think it sort of balances itself in that sense. I also think that maybe you could acquire these from opening relic packs. Maybe something like once every 5 relic pack or something, you would get a Trace of Entanglement, which you could then use to remove just 1 reward from a relic. That way you would have to open on average 50 relic packs just to be able to guarantee a reward on a relic. I don't know, that might still be a little bit too overpowered, just because if you open it in a squad, then you have 4 people who are guaranteed, then you can share the cost. But again, we can work out the details later. Maybe you shouldn't be able to strike all rewards. Maybe there has to be some limit, like you can only strike 3 or 4. I'd like to get your input on that. Then another way of achieving this Trace of Entanglement would be through melting down relics. I think this would be a really good relic sync. There are just a little bit too many relics in the game right now. Not too many different relics, but just total amount of relics is a little bit too high. I think I have quite a few, but I know people who have 500-600 relics. And because of this, people are selling them for 2 platinum, sometimes even 1. And that's obviously, I think it's a little bit too bad. I feel like primes and relics are supposed to be at least a little bit valuable, but because I mean there is a sink in terms of ducats, but it just isn't enough. So there just ends up being a lot of unopened relics. I think it would be cool if we could melt them down and then get some of these traces back. Maybe we would get a little bit of void trace. I mean, not too much. 2, 3 per, maybe 1 for lit, 2 for meso, 3 for neo, and 4 for axi, and or maybe 5 for axi or something like that. But then also you would have that chance of that rare reward, which would be Entanglement. Then alternatively, I think also maybe we could have multiple tiers. Okay, I feel like I'm making a nesting doll now, but having different tiers of Entanglement, you would have. So we're sort of back to the idea with void trace now, but instead of void trace, we're using trace of Entanglement. So you would have a weak trace of Entanglement, a potent, a forceful, and a deterministic. Weak removes 1 at random, potent removes 2 at random, forceful removes 4 at random, and deterministic removes 1 deterministically. So you get to choose which one you remove. Here it is very important that the deterministic is extremely rare, or maybe not extremely rare, but it has to be quite rare, because otherwise you can just use a forceful on a relic until you get the reward that you would want, and then use a deterministic to strike the last reward, leaving you with a guaranteed chance. Again, maybe we can cap it at 4, but still, even then, using a potent and then a weak to see if you can, have the 3 rewards out of one of them being the 1 or 2 that you would want, and then strike the 3rd. So that's pretty much my thoughts on this. This is something that I would really like to see in the game. I think it would be cool to have some more options for relics, because right now I feel like it's pick the most valuable one in the vast majority of cases, make it flawless, unless it's something super valuable, let's say Loki system before the Prime Resurgence. Obviously you would run that 1 Radiant, but in most cases it's just flawless all the way. And I would like to see some more interesting ways to interact with your relics. Anyways, this has been everything from me this time around. I look forward to hearing your ideas, and I will see you in the next one.